Hello, everyone. My name is Brendan Cahill, CEO and President of Excellon Resources. Very excited to be here today to talk about Excellon and all the exciting projects we have going forward, from production down to Mexico to lots of exploration globally in Idaho, Germany, and Mexico as well. I will be making some forward-looking statements during this presentation. This is available on our website, so feel free to check it out there. So Excellon is a story that's been around quite some time. The company was founded in the late 80s. Got to Mexico in the mid-90s, brought there by Peter McGaw, made the discovery of the Platosa mine in 1999, brought it to production in 2005. Since that time, it's been Mexico's highest grade silver producer. We're still in production today. In the spring of 2019 or so, seeing this gold bull market really take over, we started looking at assets in the Western US, and that led to the acquisition of a company called Otis Gold. Otis has two projects, or had two projects, we have them now, Kilgore and Oakley. Great transaction, for $22 million Canadian in shares. We got a project in Kilgore that has an NPV of about $300 million US right now. So very accretive for our shareholders. The interesting thing about Kilgore, though, is really this growth story that we see there. We see the potential for 3 to 5 million ounces on the project, and our primary focus is really doing the drilling to define that potential on the project. So we'll look at that opportunity later in the presentation. Discovery is a huge focus for the company. Key discovery focused asset for us right now is our Silver City project in Saxony, Germany. A project that was mined for 800 years, funded the Saxon monarchy, and mining only stopped when Germany moved off the silver standard in 1873. We're the first ones ever to drill it for precious metals. So capital structure, 32 million shares outstanding. Very tight capital structure here. We listed on the NYSE at the end of September of last year. So very premier listings on the TSX and NYSE, both under the symbol EXN. Working capital, quite good. At the end of the year, just under $10 million US. And the mine operating, generating cash that pays for our expenses and all of our exploration. Key shareholders here, Eric Sprott at around 13% of the company, and some very active ETFs as well. The SILJ and the SIL, pretty much constant buyers of the stock over the past 12 months or so. So board and management, point out a couple members of the board here. Mike Timmons was former VP Corporate Development at Agnico Eagle, led an investment into Otis Gold, $5 million back in 2017, the acquisition of a Cisco back in 2015 as well. Annalag Kruger, former CFO of Trevally, was our CFO until October last year, moved over to McEwen Mines and then up to our board. So a great member of the team. And really a great board, 4 coming over from Excellon on the Otis transaction, and then Craig Lindsay and Roger Norwich joining us on the close of that transaction. With management, I've been with Excellon since 2012, Ben since 2016. Before 2012, we were at a company called Pelangio that spun off Detour Lake to Detour Gold back in 2007 or so. Ben went to Rocks Gold in 2012, worked with the team there to get that to commercial production in 2016. Alfred Colas, former Barrick, came to us late last year. Paul Keller, former COO of Trevally, great operator, developer, acquirer of assets. So really is a team in connection with the board that can, negotiate agreements on the ground, find, permit, finance, and develop. When we look at our projects across the world, I think the key thing here is there's borders, there's oceans, there's time zones. We've got dedicated teams on each of these projects. We want to move everything forward at once. We've got 2 projects in Mexico. We've got 2 projects in Idaho. We've got Silver City in Saxony, Germany. 5 projects, all moving forward at once because of the strength of our teams on the ground. They develop ideas, we refine them, and then allocate the capital accordingly. And certainly, during this pandemic that we've been looking at over the past 12 months or more now, we can't run around all over the world. So having those teams in place is a key part of our strategy to keep these assets moving forward. So we'll start with Platosa down in Mexico, in the state of Durango, again, in operation since 2005. Historically, the challenge here was too much water coming into the mine. We solved that issue in 2017, and now we've been really refining the cost profile since that time. Q2 last year, very difficult with the suspension of mining across Mexico by the government. We came out of that much stronger. Took a number of steps to reduce our costs, going to 2 shifts a day from 3 shifts a day with the workforce. That allowed us to reduce labor costs while increasing productivity, changing our offtake agreements, switching to a private electricity provider, and changing mining method. Came out of the tough Q2, saw record tonnage mined and produced in Q3 and Q4, very good metal production and recoveries. Now, keep in mind, this is a 2 million to 2.5 million silver equivalent ounce producer, but it does generate that cash that we can use and allocate it to our exploration projects. At Platosa, though, around Platosa, really 3 goals here. Grow Platosa, find more Platosas, and then find the source of that Platosa system. In terms of growing Platosa, we continue to put out great drill results. To highlight one here, 8.9 meters at 1,400 grams silver equivalent, amongst a host of over a kilo per ton silver equivalent results. This gap zone that you can see on the slide, an area that was never drilled historically effectively, we think it's a very good opportunity to continue growing resources in the operation, continue that high grade production going forward. Stepping out though, trying to find that next Platosa. Javancio, 11 kilometers to the northwest. We'll look at that on the next slide. Huge area of potential for a new Platosa. PDN, big skarn target at depth, potentially a gold copper skarn associated with the Rincon discovery that we made back in 2012 and 13, where we saw very broad widths and some very high grades of silver skarn style mineralization. So we'll look at Javancio though. This is a very quickly developing target that we have. We started drilling here in 2019, hit Gossans on pretty much every hole. And the footprint of this area, it's 4 by 4 kilometers. The footprint of Platosa is about 600 by 700 meters. So tremendous alteration footprint, far, far bigger than Platosa. We started drilling, hitting these Gossans. We've now moved down into the valley, into this part of the topography, and looking for that sulfide expression of the system. We know there's galena there. We know there's sphalerite there. That's what we're mining at Platosa. That's what we're looking for. So really it's about following up on our drill targets and hopefully getting some high-grade massive sulfides in the near term. So we'll move up to Idaho then, and Kilgore and our Oakley project. Oakley, just note in passing, it's actually in an option agreement with Centerra right now. They're earning into it by spending up to $7 million over the next 6 years to get to 70%. Should be drilling there in Q2, hopefully within the next month or so. But Kilgore, great economics on this project, very accretive transaction for our shareholders. What really drew us to it with these drill results here on the right: 95 meters of 4.2 grams, 31 meters of 5.4 grams. Deeper in the system, they're part of the Aspen Formation, which really runs throughout the entire region. Outcrops at surface, but kind of underlies the mineralization up at Kilgore, and point towards a much higher grade potential at depth, the potential for underground mineralization as well. So we'll look at the economics though. The PEA put out by Otis back in August 2019 describes an 81 million in capex for 110,000 ounces a year over 5 years. So our first goal here is to drill to define 10-year mine life and 100,000 plus ounces a year. A very good start. Recovery is good at over 80%. Over 90% in some recent studies, and the strip ratio only 1.1 to 1. So we think it's a great start on what we think is a much bigger project with a lot of exploration potential. When we look at it in section, you can see the steam heated zone up here where most of the resource is, that 0.5 gram, about 1 million ounces or so. And then this Aspen Formation lying beneath that, where we see this much higher grade structurally controlled part of the system. So a key part of our focus, that second track, is to drill into the structural control part, follow up on those 95 meters of 4.2 grams, 31 meters of 5.4, and see if we can get a much higher grade part of the system and potentially an underground aspect to the project as well. Right now we're in permitting. We're working through the EA process with the U.S. Forest Service, looking for a decision on that, in the middle of this year or so, setting up the drill program to start in Q3. Regionally, we're seeing gold in stream sets up to 6 to 10 kilometers away. Tremendous property, lots of room for further exploration in the future. So that's also a key part of our story going forward. Now we'll move over to Saxony, Germany, in eastern Germany. And this is a project, Silver City, that we optioned from Globex, a Canadian prospect generator out of Quebec in September 2019. But fascinating project, 164 square kilometers, 36 kilometers of strike, mined for 800 years from the 11th century through to the 19th century. And mining stopped when Germany moved off the silver standard in 1873. Went to the gold standard, dropped that in World War I, history sweeps through. This becomes part of East Germany. And under the Soviet economic influence, really the focus is on base and industrial metals versus this high-grade precious metals part of the system that we see through the Bronsdorf license. So we really are the first people to ever drill this project for high-grade silver. The footprint of this project, if you put it in Mexico, would basically cover the Fresnillo trend between Fresnillo and Zacatecas. This famous, richest, highest grade silver prospect in the world. There's no way you could put this kind of ground package on an epithermal belt like Fresnillo. But the Bronsdorf license has history that's actually similar to what has been seen at Fresnillo. It just didn't see the 20th century. We've got records from these old mines going back hundreds of years, grades of up to 4,000 grams per ton, widths of up to even 10 meters up at Munzig here in the north. And so it really is this perfect setting of, you've got the geology, you've got the history, you've got a mining community, you've got a high quality university, the University of Freiburg, a technology institute, the Freiburg Institute in town. It's a great place to be operating an exploration project. We know what's underground. These are extracts from the old mines taken by students 100+ years ago, high-grade galena and sphalerite. So when we got on the ground in January or so of 2020, it was about, can we permit the drilling? Yes, we got the permit by May. It would have been faster, but for the pandemic. We started drilling in July. Curiosity, but definite interest and support from the local communities. Started hitting an epithermal system over kilometer and kilometer of strike length. Started seeing high-grade silver species, and then getting high-grade silver assays back. Best results so far, 1.3 meters at 1,100 or so grams per ton silver equivalent up at the Grauerwolf target here. What we're also seeing is an interesting new frontier for silver exploration on this green line, a contact that was really never mined historically. So that's something we're going to be following up on in 2021. Looking at that mineralization, these are the 4 key targets we're following up on so far: Bronsdorf, Reichenbach, Grauerwolf, and the Peter vein. High-grade silver, up to 900 grams silver, good gold values, and some good base metal values as well. So it's a really exciting project to be working in. And in fact, we've expanded our ground position, doubled it very recently, up to 34,000 hectares or 340 square kilometers or so, with the addition of the Odron, Mohorn, and Frauenstein licenses. Other areas of historical mining, no modern day exploration, and we plan to be the first ones to put drills on these projects in due course after, obviously the prospecting and initial target generation. We have a good relationship with the local communities, the university, churning out PhDs to this day. So they work with us on the projects, and the Helmholtz Institute, this mining advocacy and technology institute, we share data and technology with them, a very symbiotic relationship. So keep an eye on Silver City over the course of 2021. Lots of drilling and results to come. We're looking for high-grade silver there. Turning to our corporate development aspect, transformational year in 2020 with the acquisition of Otis, the publication of a resource on our Evolution project, which we didn't have time to talk about today, really increased our silver equivalent resources up to 170 million ounces, or 5.3 silver equivalent ounces per share, which really matches or exceeds any of our peer groups. So very transformational, accretive year for us, put a lot of ounces on the balance sheet. These sessions are always short, but lots of stuff accomplished in 2020, moving all these projects forward, but 2021 is really the year where we focus on drilling, exploration, and discovery. We'll be drilling at Oakley shortly. We're drilling at Platosa now on multiple targets, getting going on Silver City in Q2, and working towards getting going on Kilgore in Q3. So it's all about drilling, all about discovery, all about resource growth in 2021. And it's going to be a very exciting year. And just to close, that's actually a picture of the rig in the fields at Silver City from our program last year. So thank you very much. Our website's www.excellonresources.com, listed on the TSX and NYSE under the symbol EXN.